This video will show you how we create from a Word document an Excel-based form of that multiple choice Word-based document, with the idea that as we increase the size and quality of our warehouse of Excel-based question banks, we do that because that Excel-based question bank can be imported or pushed into, for example, a D2L library or any other learning management system. And from there, your learning management system, D2L, you can create your own quizzes and allow kids to practice to their heart's content, that core sort of stuff. Okay, so here we go. We're working on pushing a Word document into an Excel document. And so we'll pop up an Excel document here. This is the template. And what I want you to see is that this particular template is just arbitrarily set to hold 10 multiple choice questions. And you can see each of them in those bold boxes. So over here we'll pop open, we'll pop open kind of a standard biology test. And I'm just going to go back over to the Word document and I'm going to zoom in a little bit. And we'll zoom into here. So this is just one of those questions. There's one of them there, and then there's another copy there and another copy there. So we'll just use this box right in here. A couple of things about the template. The nice thing is, let me just remove this a little bit. So the nice thing is that anything that is green you can and should replace. Anything that's orange you probably should replace or leave blank. And then there's something about the red, but more about that later. So I just need to zoom away just a little bit further. So this is what's going to happen. One of these boxes is going to take what we call the beginning, or what students say the beginning of the question, and then these other boxes are going to take the detractors, or the answers and the detractors away. So now I need to zoom in on Excel and show you what that looks like. So I'll just zoom into this particular. Great. Okay, so this says this is the title and this is the question text. So let me just kind of go backwards a little bit. I'm going to grab this right here and I'm going to copy it, although the nice thing is if you're using Microsoft Word you can actually just push one into the other. So I can grab this right here and I can push it right into the question text right there. Now, let's say I want to grab the right answer, and you know what, I'm not even paying attention. I'm hoping this is the right answer. So I'm going to click just that right there, and I'm going to put it in the right answer section, which is right here. And now I'll grab this one right here, and I'll put it in here. And notice how it came up with a little A ahead of it, whereas the other one didn't. I just want to backtrack on that for a second. So I'm going to undo this. I'm going to come over and I'm going to undo this again. And what I want you to see is if I highlight this, pay attention to that little space right at the end. If I do this, if I grab that and drag this in here, everything works fine. Let's try that up here. Notice how it's got a space. If I copy and drag this into here, you can see that it comes out with the automatic paragraph numbering. So I'm going to undo this, and I'll go back here and I'll undo this. There's two ways to avoid that automatic paragraph numbering that happens when you drag or copy into here. One way is to make sure that you don't grab that little space right at the very end, and you grab just that. So if I grab just that, it'll work fine. And the other way to do it is to turn off your paragraph numbering, which is typically this icon right up here. So I'm going to say don't give me any numbering. Now sometimes it also helps to make sure that you're pushing your indenting way over to the side. So I'm just going to go click, 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 click. So I'll grab this and I'll push this into here, and I'll come over here and I'll grab this and I'll push this into here. So here's my right answer. That gives me 100% of 1 point, and it says here points 1. So this will give me 100% of 1 point. This gives me 0% of 1 point. This message here says erase these words and put in a message that you want people to see. If this is the right thing, maybe you say something like congratulations. What about if they get it wrong? Well, don't just say you got it wrong. In this case, you may want to direct them to reread something, or you may want to give them a hint. So sometimes you might want to say, read page 321, second paragraph. Maybe you don't want to say anything at all. Maybe you want to say, oops, common mistake. That's not very instructive, though. Or sometimes maybe what you might want to do is actually give them a link. Okay, so there's a good link there. So I'll copy that and I'll close this. And so my advice to them here, instead of oops, common mistake, will just be the link directly to there. And I could do exactly the same to the endoplasmic reticulum, or I could just give them nothing. If you want to give them a hint, maybe that Golgi thing over here, maybe actually that's a great hint. And after they read that, what's the feedback on this? This is a general sort of thing. And for the time being, I don't know what to say to them, so I'm just going to leave that blank. Okay, so now what we've got is this template. We've done a template version of the question that used to be sitting there. We've got in here, we've got the question text. And the last thing is it says a title. Okay, this question was asking about the function of a Golgi apparatus. So I'm going to click in here and I'm going to call this cell function. Oh, it wasn't asking about a Golgi, it was asking about plants versus animals, cell function. So I'll go plants versus animals, or animal cells. And that's my title. So I'll hit enter on that. So I've got a title, I've got a question text, I've got points. I could change that, leave those blank for the time being. There's my right answer, and here's all of my other stuff in here. Couple of things with this. Just by habit, we set the template up so the first one is correct. But these options will all be randomized once they get pushed into D2L. And let me see if I can grab a graphic there. Yeah, so once those things get pushed into D2L and it comes out as a quiz, this won't come out. Chromatin won't always be the first choice. Sometimes it'll be the fourth, sometimes it'll be that. And that's important because what it means is you have to actually avoid certain types of questions when you're using the template. You can't use all of the above, because sometimes all of the above is the very first choice. You can't use statements like none of the above. You can't even use statements like both A and B are true, because sometimes A and B come out as C and D. So you can't say that. You can't say those sorts of things. Okay, let's go back to here. So I've done that once. Let's do one more question just so we're good and we're confident. We're moving on to here. We'll open up the bio test again. And now let me just show you how to do it even quicker now that we've learned a couple of strategies. One strategy is that we want to turn off our automatic paragraph numbering. So I'll highlight this and I'll say turn off the paragraph numbering. And while I'm at it, I'm going to push all of these things over to the side so they don't indent Cookie for me. I'm going to grab this, which is the question, and it goes right in here with a question text. There's my correct answer right in here, so I'm just going to click and drag it and drop it in here. This one right in here, I'm just going to double click, goes in here. I'm going to double click here, goes in here. Double click here, goes in here. And incidentally, just to show you, if I wanted a whole sentence, there's a couple of click shortcuts. I'll just turn this off right in here. If I wanted to grab an entire sentence, I'd just hover right there and I'd grab that. So if I wanted this sentence, I'm not going to highlight it because it takes me too long to highlight it. I'm just going to go right here and go click, drag, bing, let go, and there it is. Same thing over here, just a couple of shortcuts. What are the feedback? What's the feedback? If I'm always going to say congrats, I'm just going to go copy and paste that in here. And I'm going to leave the feedback blank for my partner who's working on this, because they're providing the feedback on this. Hint, I'm going to give them a website, or I'm going to tell them to read something. And in here, I'm not too sure what to do, so I'm going to leave that blank. After I've done this, I'm going to say File, Save As, and I'm going to save this not as a template, but this is all like grade 10 bio stuff, or actually I think it's grade 12 bio cell function. So I'll call this grade 12 bio cell function, and we'll save that. Okay, back to the overview. So what we've got is we've got one of those files. Currently it only has 2 questions in it, but that's the process by which we have been building up many spreadsheets with many questions in them, with the idea that then we and others can pull these into our own quiz libraries in D2L. Cool thing here is we can make modifications ourselves here, and we can leave the warehouse intact. And so I can personally modify some of the questions without modifying the warehouse bank, and there's considerable merit in that. But the other big feature is this is very amenable to pushing things into D2L, and if some of you are leery about pushing things into D2L because maybe you might be using a different platform, whatever platform you use, this format will work with any platform. Okay, last step then of course would be how do we move from here into D2L, and the answer is we have that on another video. Okay, hope you enjoyed. What's your first step? Your first step, if you want to do this, is get yourself a copy of the template, get yourself a copy of a test that you want to start converting into that format, and just basically push the stuff in over here. Oh, one last thing. There's always one last thing. The one last thing is on this particular template, we've actually protected it and done cell protection, so you can't actually click on or use the gray stuff. You can only click in cells that you're allowed to change. And sitting up in here are all the different instructions regarding the different colors. I said more on that later. And so that's stuff right in here. In a future video, I'll tell you about using images.